Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
All right, the Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline. The drive to March has begun for college basketball's elite, and the NBA contenders are separating themselves from the pretenders. Plus, Wilder versus Fury this Saturday. Get in the mix at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
PodcastOne presents the Steve Austin Show Classics.
I'm sitting here talking with Barbie Blank, a.k.a. Kelly Kelly from the WWE Universe, but she rode off into the sunset way back in the day. And now she's right in the middle of a reality show on the E! Network, Wives and Girlfriends of Sports Stars, with the acronym of WAGS. Season premiere was August 18th. I missed it. I'm talking to Barbie Blank right now. She's over there in Idaho, kicking back, chilling, and enjoying a weekend. Barbie, it is so good to talk to you. I haven't seen you in years. How are you doing?
I know. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. I'm very excited.
Well, I read an article on my computer, and you brought up my name and something about a podcast, and I said, man, this is a great opportunity to have her on the show because I always enjoy talking to people from the world of professional wrestling on the show, but you've, escaped. You got out, escaped from New York, escaped from World Wrestling Entertainment, and you went on down the road. And so I want to be able to talk to you. And I said, man, this is a perfect chance to reach out and see how you're doing. So talk to me about this show. Tell me about this setup and how you got involved with this project.
Okay, so, WAGs is a term that, wives and girlfriends have been called in the athlete world for a long time. So I got approached about a year ago about this show. There was a concept how they wanted to kind of go into the lives of wives and girlfriends of sports stars. So I thought it was great because I feel like women and men haven't been able to kind of go inside and see how we live our everyday lives with the guys traveling and, the schedule and everything that goes into that. Because you have like Basketball Wives and you have all these other reality shows, right? But it doesn't show the couples and what we kind of go through in everyday lives. And, like my fiance right now is going through retirement. So it kind of is, showing that, and we're planning a wedding. So I thought it was a great concept. And when they asked me to sign on, I'm with 6 other women who are either dating or married to NFL players. So we're the only hockey couple on the show. But it's great. I think it's, it's really fun. It shows the highs and lows of relationships and, what the girls go through, how there's kind of a hierarchy, how girlfriends are kind of low on the totem pole and wives are up at the top. So it kind of just shows the inside world, what people haven't ever seen before.
So then you're kind of like right in the middle then because you're a fiancé. Right. You're not a girlfriend. Exactly. You're a fiancé. You're about to be a wife. And so when is this illustrious wedding going to take place and where?
So it's January 30th in Cabo. So we're doing a destination wedding.
Okay. Now, why did you, of all places, pick Cabo, which is spectacular?
So when I first met my now fiance, our first trip was to Cabo together. So it's kind of always been very special to us, and we've always wanted to get married on the beach. So, it's just the perfect location.
Now, you'd never been married before, correct?
No.
Okay, then.
I'm only 28.
I know, but I kind of been around the horn a few times, so it took me a while to get it right. Hopefully, you and Sheldon Souray, your fiancé, get it right the first time, and he is your soulmate, and it lasts forever.
Exactly.
So how long have you been dating this guy, and how did you guys meet? Because, coming from the world you come from, and then you got out of WWE and been modeling, and, you kind of been all over the place. So how did you guys cross paths? Because you grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. You were like me. I grew up in South Texas. I know technically you weren't initially a hockey fan, and I can imagine because there's not a whole lot of ice over there like in Texas, so it wasn't a sport that I was exposed to.
Exactly. So I met Shell probably 5 years ago, and we met through a mutual girlfriend who's actually my maid of honor. And we were in Tampa because I was still training. I was in, the performance center that they had in Tampa at that time, about 5 years ago. So I was training there. My girlfriend said, hey, my friends are in town. They have a hockey game, tomorrow. Do you want to come out to dinner? and, meet them. And I was like, yeah, I'll come out, why not? So we all went to dinner, and, sparks kind of flew, but the timing of it wasn't right. Like, we probably knew each other for about a year until we actually really started dating. So the timing was perfect. I was, kind of in my last year of WWE. So I was still on the road, and he was playing in Edmonton at the time. So, we were making it work. It was really hard, long distance for a while. So we met for about 4 years ago. I was still wrestling for about a year and a half, and then we just got really serious, and I just decided that I wanted to be at home and kind of just, because I was 19 when I started, so I was super young. I kind of missed out on, having fun and like living my life and missing out on a few things. And so, when we got serious, I just decided to retire and kind of live the housewife life.
Well, I want to go back to you being on the road at a very young age with WWE, but when you first started dating Shell, now he was still in the league. Now he recently announced his retirement, so he was on the road for a couple of years while you guys were dating. Now, how did that work with you, just a mindset, because you've been on the road, you've seen what goes on the road with at least the confines of WWE. I can only imagine that the NHL, those are some super tough guys. It's a crazy schedule and a hell of a grind on them physically, and I'm sure they like to let their hair down just as well as the boys on the road. So how did you deal with that aspect of it?
So when I left the WWE, he started to play in Dallas, so I moved to Dallas with him, and he was on the road a lot. And it's just like I said, I've known the road life, and he's been in the NHL for almost 20 years. So he was kind of towards the end of his career. He wasn't really a big partier. He didn't, he would go out to dinners and stuff like that, but it was good. Like, the timing of it was perfect. He wasn't a partier anymore. He didn't like to go out and shake the glass too much. And I was, he made me feel very comfortable when I was at home. And because when I retired and I was at home and he was on the road a lot, it was a different circumstance. Like, I've never really, understood or dated anyone like that. So, it was an adjustment for sure, because, he would go out or, go to dinners and stuff, and I would get a little jealous here and there, but he always, made me feel very comfortable. And I think it helped that we both kind of have lived that life of being on the road. So I think I was more understanding than someone who doesn't really understand what these guys go through. With
the process of reality television and WAGs, and certainly you're no stranger to television, you're no stranger to cameras, period, because of your modeling career, which goes way back. When the filming process for the show came about, how comfortable was he? And obviously he's no stranger to cameras, he's a professional hockey player, but this is inside and inside the inner workings of a relationship and trying to make all these things that work together. But with all the cameras and all the stuff around, and you've got the producers in your ear and, maybe a few storylines here and there, how comfortable was he in that element with the cameras rolling and seeing the inside dynamics of y'all's relationship? And with that being said, how comfortable were you?
Well, he didn't really love it. He was doing it for me, and supporting me because I've supported him. So he makes a few appearances on the show, and you see us talk about the wedding a little bit and certain storylines that go on the show. But, he was like, "This is your thing, babe. I want this to be about you. I'll come on and I'll support you a few times." But he was like, "It's just not my thing," which I totally respected.
Right.
And so you don't see too much of our relationship. I mean, you do, but nothing bad.
Well, how was the process? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying that's what I wanted, because when they came to me about the show, like, I was like, I'll give you our relationship, but I'm not going to, let you in.
Right.
Because I feel like you have to kind of,
you want to draw a line,
privacy to yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, tell me about the process, and like if I'm filming one of my shows, I mean, typically we can knock it out in 30, if it's 10 episodes, maybe 30 days or 27 days.
Right.
So with something like this, so did you guys do 8 episodes or 10? And,
yeah.
Okay, so how many days of filming did that take?
We've been filming since Super Bowl.
Oh, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me?
It's been a very long process.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
year has barely begun. That means you want to keep growing your team of superstar employees, but you need the right tools to help keep your hiring streamlined and efficient. That's where ZipRecruiter.com/Steve comes in. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is proven so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter find a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can try ZipRecruiter for free when you head over to ZipRecruiter.com/Steve. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Steve to find the ideal candidates for the job. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. How did they put your schedule together with respect to you being on the show and doing your part of the show?
You know, it was because of the first season. I think it wasn't as organized as we all had hoped. We wouldn't really get a schedule until a few days before, and I was flying because it shoots in LA. So I was flying back and forth from Vegas to LA at least twice a week. So I was shooting in LA for 3 days. I would come home for a few days and then fly back out to LA and do the same thing. So I've been doing that since February. And we finally just stopped shooting, when it aired. So
how do they make this all play out in Los Angeles if all of y'all live in different parts of the country?
Well, actually, so when these guys, all the guys that are on the show and all the women, when they're done playing, they all have houses in LA.
Gotcha.
So for the off season, we all live in LA.
Okay, now the show premiered on August 18th, so there's been one show out so far. Were you happy with what you saw?
I was. I don't feel like anyone could love how they're portrayed on reality television.
Editing is such a key part of that, as you know.
It really is. It really is. I don't feel like it makes anyone look great. But I was happy. I felt like I was true to myself. I've always been, taking the high road and never really, stooping down to other people's levels if they're, making digs or saying smart remarks. So I felt, the first episode I was portrayed pretty well, so I was actually kind of happy.
How are you when you watch yourself back doing stuff like that? I mean, I tend to, I'll watch. Well, I watch my shows, but I'm past being critical of myself. If I go back and watch old matches, then I'm highly critical. So when watching yourself back, are you like, oh, I shouldn't have worn that, or I wish I would have said this, or do you? Oh
yeah, there's plenty of times too where I've had a few too many drinks, and the next day I'm like, oh my God, they're totally gonna play that in the episode. There's things where I wish I wouldn't have said something, or I wish I wouldn't have done my makeup like that, or tons of stuff. So I'll watch it, and I'll watch it a few times, and you're like, oh my God, I'll see new things every time I watch it. So I'm like, I just can't watch it so much.
Tell me how wardrobe works out on something like that, because my shows that I do are very simple. I'm in charge of me. There's no hair and makeup.
Do they have like a stylist there?
No. Well, here's how it goes down. I stand in a dressing room in Macy's, and my wife is like a power shopper, man. She's like on a mission.
Oh, nice.
So she just brings like piles and piles of camouflage shorts. I try them on. If I like them, I keep them. If I don't, I throw them back out. And so then I get some shirts printed up, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then just for makeup, I might color my goatee just a little bit, and then I put on just a layer of base, just because camera is camera.
What?
Now,
I can't.
I'm just talking about.
You do that.
You gotta look out for yourself. You gotta understand. You know the deal. Everybody on television wears some sort of makeup, and Barbie. I always wanted to call you Kelly. Barbie. I'm just using one layer of base that I put on with my fingertip, and it's only a small bit. So hey, work with me. You're gonna make me look like a damn diva, and you're the diva here. So let's get this conversation back in your direction. I want to know about hair, makeup, and wardrobe on your show, because that's got to be a hell of a lot of budget with all you women.
It is. We actually get to pick out, I wear all my own stuff, so I feel like I shop probably at least 5 times a week on a different website, and I'm ordering something, because you never want to wear the same thing twice, you know, and you want your makeup and hair to look different every time. So I'm very particular on things like that. So
you're one of those kind of people.
My outfits out.
Yeah, but if that's the problem. See, if you wear the same thing twice, it's like nah. See, chicks spot that from a mile off. She just wore that the other day. That's so trashy, and so like I'm notorious for wearing the same stuff over and over and again. I just went to New York City to do so. Well, it is, but I've been doing it for a couple of years. So my wife literally forced me to go down to Los Angeles the other day and buy 3 brand new shirts to support the WWE 2K16 video game appearance I was to make. So yeah, if it wasn't for her, I would still be wearing the same bullshit that I wore, 4 years ago. That was brutal. So tell me about where you're living right now. You told me you were splitting time between Vegas and Idaho. Now, how did you end up first in Vegas, much less Idaho?
So last year we moved to Vegas when Shell retired, and more for tax reasons.
Yes.
Shell played a long time in Canada, so he has a lot of money up there. So we thought, hey, why not move to a tax-free state and, collect all that money and not have to file in somewhere like California, because we were in California. So it was a nice change, and there's this year Shell got offered a job as like a golf ambassador at this new country club that's opening, because he's an amazing golfer and he's a great people person. So it's perfect, and he's, having fun doing it. So that's why we're in Vegas.
Talk to me about Vegas for a second, because a lot of people, when they think Vegas, they just think of the Strip. But when you get in some of the neighborhoods, I mean, it seemed like a nice place to live, as long as we don't end up running out of water. The Colorado River supplies a lot of that water source down there, and you use so much for golf courses. But to the point, how is life in Vegas? It seems like a pretty chill place, plenty of sunshine. Do you dig it or not?
Oh, I mean, we loved it. We lived about 30 minutes off of the Strip on a golf course, and, you wouldn't think of Vegas. Like, I had Mike, the Miz, come with his wife, Maurice, and they came and stayed at our house. And Mike was saying, I didn't even know there was a CVS. I didn't even know there was grocery stores in Vegas, because we've never been off the Strip. And so it was really funny, because people don't ever think that there's like communities or anything in Vegas, right? So we have a lot of friends come in town, and they love it.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
This Saturday is the boxing pay-per-view event of the decade. The long-awaited rematch of heavyweight titans is set, as undefeated WBC champion Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder and unbeaten lineal champion Tyson the Gypsy King Fury continue their rivalry on Saturday, February 22nd, live from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas and on pay-per-view. Wilder vs. Fury 2 has been highly anticipated since their first meeting in December of 2018, when Wilder retained his title via split draw after Fury miraculously rose from a 12th round knockdown to finish the fight. One of the most memorable moments in heavyweight history, and has raised the historical stakes heading into the rematch. Tyson Fury's strong performance against Wilder even earned him Comeback of the Year. But Deontay Wilder, the most feared single-punch knockout artist in boxing today and current longest-reigning heavyweight world champion, has held his title since January 2015, making this Saturday the 11th defense of his heavyweight title. Easily one of the most anticipated rematches boxing has ever witnessed, and I will be watching. Don't miss an historic night live from Las Vegas, Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Buy it now on pay-per-view. Okay, now tell me about Idaho and how you ended up there, because, I mean, coming out of Jacksonville is one of my favorite Florida towns to work in, because it's the northern part of Florida, and down in Miami, it's a little hot and muggy. It's a great city, no doubt, but it's just so muggy down there. So Jacksonville, it was a great wrestling town, and I know you grew up as a wrestling fan. But so then you ended up in Idaho. How are you digging that? I mean, that's a beautiful state.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And I feel like it's a lot like Jacksonville. It's, kind of down home, and it just reminds me there's not a lot of, things happening. It's just very peaceful. It kind of reminds me of Beach Town a little bit, because we're on a lake and we have a boat, and it's like a little community with a bunch of other hockey players and retired NFL players, and it's like an adult summer camp.
Well, where are you guys flying in and out of?
We fly Spokane. Washington.
And then how far is the drive down? Okay, that's great.
An hour 15.
Now, here's an interesting thing. Obviously, your husband comes from the National Hockey League, former big-time athlete. How does he get along with some of the guys? I mean, like you said, like the Miz comes down. He's a great guy with a lot of charisma, and just he's one of those guys that never met a stranger. But so how does your fiance mix with some of the people from the world of professional wrestling or sports entertainment? Does he get it, or is he a fan at all of the business, or was?
So when we first started dating, he came to a lot of the shows and was very supportive and would come backstage and, hang out with some of the guys. So when I left, I've always, Maurice was actually in my wedding. So Mike and Shell have hung out many times. And actually, Shell and Punk became really good friends. And they had a bet 2 years ago that Sheldon was playing for Anaheim. And, of course, Punk's a big Chicago Blackhawks fan. So they had a bet that if Chicago wins, then Shell has to get his name tattooed on him. And then if Sheldon won, then Punk has to get Shell's name on him. So Punk ended up winning, and now Sheldon has to get a CM Punk tattoo on him. So Shell's in the process of going to get that done. So that's going to be very funny to see. When that's all done.
He's not going to renege on the deal. He's going to do it.
No, Shell said he's going to do it.
Man, he's a man of his word. I know CM Punk is gloating about this, and yes, he is a hardcore hockey fan. And the Blackhawks are definitely his team.
On him. He's like, when are you getting that tattoo? Or, so I was like, I'm going to get it.
Hey, when I got out of the ring, it took me a long time to, come to grips with retirement. And I want to talk about your retirement in just a second. But since we're talking about Shell now, your fiance, you're about to get married right down the road in January. How has being away from the league impacted him? Because he's got to be going through some type of withdrawal or just missing the guys and missing the aspects of being on the road and the locker room.
Right. I mean, he played for, like I said, 20 years. So,
yeah, it's a good run.
He had it was very good. He actually had a career-ending injury, is why he had to return to sports to retire. He pulled the ligaments completely off of his wrist. So it's, just there's nothing in his wrist anymore. And so, that was pretty hard because I know that's not the way he wanted. He wants to go out the way they want to go out. He doesn't want to have to go out because of an injury. So I know that was kind of hard for him to kind of go through that. But he's been taking it really well. When he was done, he's done. It's time. He played for many years, and he's just happy to be able to kind of chill out, play golf, not have to be on a schedule. So he's enjoying the retired life for sure. He's happy. But he does, I can tell he does miss some of the guys and that whole thing. But he talks to them all the time, and we've had a lot of guys come visit us in Idaho,
So how do you deal with the hockey culture with all of his friends that come? Because basically it sounds like you're in the same community because, like you said, Idaho, a lot of pro football players there, a lot of people from hockey there. I mean, it's almost like down in Tampa. It seems like a lot of the boys live down there. So
exactly.
Do y'all tend to find that you're just more of your close friends are from the world of sports?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our friends come from that world, and I'm friends with all the wives or the girlfriends who are all out here too. So it's like a big community. We should have done a reality show about this place.
Well, that would probably be a little bit more closer to what's really going down. Yeah.
Probably.
Hey, I want to talk about your career in WWE. Your start. I want to talk about your gymnastics background and all of that. I want to come back and talk to Barbie Blank, formerly Kelly Kelly, WWE Diva, right here on the Steve Austin Show. All right, gang, did you know that last football season, DraftKings.com crowned more millionaires than any other one-week fantasy sports site anywhere? And this season, the prizes are even bigger. How'd you like to start this pro football season by winning $2 million in week one? $2 million. Instant cash during the first week of the season. Well, you just might if you play fantasy football at DraftKings.com. They got 10 million ducats in prizes up for grabs, including that $2 million for first place and $1 million for second place. And you know that playing fantasy football at DraftKings is easy. And you ain't got to worry about things like RG3 getting a concussion and already being out for a couple of games. Because at DraftKings.com, you ain't stuck with the same players week after week. There ain't no season-long commitments at DraftKings.com. It's fantasy football on demand, just like this here podcast. You play where you want, when you want, and with the players you want. All you got to do is pick your players, pile up the points, and then pick up your cash. That's it. There's just a couple of preseason games left before the regular season kicks off. So hurry to DraftKings.com now and use the promo code STEVE to play for free for a shot at the $2 million top prize in the Week 1 Millionaire Maker. So what are you waiting for? Enter Steve now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com. I ain't got to tell you guys how fast technology changes. Y'all know that. Things are faster and easier to access. You can watch TV on your smartphone these days. Well, you know what else has evolved? Buying a car. There's the old way to buy a car, and there's a new way to buy a car. Old way. Spend hours at a car dealership haggling over the price you want, the features you want, and sometimes even the color of the car you want. The new way to buy a car, download the TrueCar app. What makes the TrueCar app so special is their certified dealer network, and what that means is that TrueCar has partnered with over 10,000 TrueCar certified dealers that also believe in a new way to buy a car. With TrueCar, you get guaranteed savings, and TrueCar certified dealers that also believe in the new way to buy a car. TrueCar certified dealers will honor the savings. It's that simple. So download the TrueCar app or go to TrueCar.com and save yourself, on average, over $3,000 off MSRP. You see what others in your neighborhood paid for the same car you want, and then get a guaranteed savings certificate from a TrueCar certified dealer. You won't have to negotiate or haggle for hours. No hassles, no headaches. It's how car buying was always meant to be. Over 2 million cars have been sold by the TrueCar certified dealer network. Visit TrueCar.com. or download the TrueCar app today and start saving. TrueCar, never overpay. All right, here we go. We're back with Barbie Blank. I always want to call her Kelly Kelly. She's one of my favorite divas of all time. She was my favorite diva of all time while she was in the ring, but she rode off into the sunset. Break this down for me, Barbie. You started off, I guess in high school you were gymnastics, cheerleader. You suffered an injury in gymnastics. What was your event, or what was your specialty?
I would have to say vault, for sure. I was very tall for a gymnast.
You are.
So I was, yeah. I got that a lot when I was younger, too. I was like, oh, my gosh, usually they're like 5 feet nothing. And I was, 5'5", and so I was always very good at the vault because, I feel like you have to have long legs to really get up there and do like a front flip or something like that. So that was definitely my specialty. Okay,
so how long did you do the gymnastics for?
I started when I was probably 3 or 4 years old. My uncle had opened the first competitive gymnastics in Jacksonville, and so I started. My mom enrolled me when I was 4. I started competing when I was 8, all over the U.S., and it's a lot. Like, it was a lot. I would go to school. I would go to gymnastics for 4 hours. I would do my homework and eat dinner and go to sleep, and I would do that 5 days a week. At 8 years old, it was crazy.
Okay, you're doing that at 8 years old. I mean, now you're still a baby. I mean, you're only 28. But with all of that gymnastics training and all the competing and then cheerleading and then through 6 years in the WWE, how did that take its toll on your body? How are you feeling right now? Because, I mean, you got into business young and you got out young. So how are you feeling physically?
When I left, I had some neck issues. My discs in my neck were pretty messed up. So it was kind of the time was right. I just didn't want to be, sporty and like just in pain every day. I was like, I just, I want to go out the way I want to go out, and my body's not great. I have a few issues, like I said, my neck, and then my bursa sacs and my knees are both busted, and so a few things like that. But I mean, I can't complain. I was very lucky, so I didn't get hurt too bad.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Fight fans, it don't get any better than the heavyweight championship rematch this Saturday. As the most feared single-punch knockout artist in boxing today, Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, continue their rivalry this Saturday, February 22nd, live from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Visit our good friends and exclusive partners at PodcastOne, betonline.ag to take advantage of the best bonuses in the business. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne. If you purchase supplies for a small to mid-sized business, Zorro.com, Zoro.com is your go-to resource. At Zorro, you'll find all the things that keep a business running, no matter what kind of business you're in. Zorro offers tools, safety equipment, cleaning and maintenance supplies, office and shipping, automotive, industrial equipment, and more, including specialty items you can't find anywhere else. Whether you're shopping for an office, factory, contracting business, or machine shop, you can get exactly what you need. And when you shop at Zorro, you'll find brands you already know and trust. Brands like 3M, Prestone, Milwaukee Tool, Schneider Electric, and Proto, all at competitive prices. You want free, fast shipping? It's yours when you spend $50 or more. And if you have a question, a return, or need help finding exactly the right item, count on Zorro's customer service team right here in the U.S. Visit Zorro.com/Austin. That's Zorro.com/Austin. And sign up for Z-Mail to get 15% off your first order. Zorro.com. All you need to make your business go. What are you doing these days to stay in shape, just as far as working out? I mean, you're naturally just a fit person, but what are you doing for workouts?
I have a trainer, so I work out probably 4 or 5 times a week with them, and actually just signed on as a co-founder for this new lifestyle fitness brand called Links, and it's like a fitness equipment, and it's meals and apparel and all this stuff. So I'm super excited because I feel like it's just a perfect kind of segue from WWE into kind of fitness stuff.
When you got out of high school, did you go to college?
I was in my first year of college. I went there for probably 6 months. I was studying broadcast journalism.
I know, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Where were you in college at?
In Jacksonville. It was Florida Community College of Jacksonville.
Okay, now of all things that you could have been, and at the time you were modeling, for Venus Swimwear, Hawaiian Tropic, but then, so man, what makes a young Barbie Blank say, you know what, I want to be a television anchor?
I've always loved being on TV, and all through I love performing and in some way doing entertainment. So when I was in high school, I was the anchor woman throughout my 4 years in high school. So on our TV news. So
oh, really?
This will be perfect. Yeah. So that was, I was like, okay, this is what I'll do.
That's awesome. I was watching some of your matches prior to the podcast and watching your entrances, and you just have the biggest smile on your face. And when you hit that turnbuckle, I can see where you love to be on television. What is it so much that that's your thing?
I just love performing, and I love that I was able to be myself. When I was wrestling, Vince always just said, go out there and be you. I was never really playing a character. I was myself, and, so you see me 100% every time I would walk through the curtain. I was so happy and so excited to hear people chanting my name and so excited to see me. So, yeah, every time I went out through that curtain, I was so happy to be there and performing.
So you show up as Barbie Blank, and before you show up, so you're modeling for Venus Swimwear, Hawaiian Tropic, and you're just spotted by John Laurinaitis? He's this very good-looking blonde. Are you blonde at the time?
Yes, I was blonde.
So John Laurinaitis comes up to you and says, hey, you're a beautiful young lady. We think we could use you in WWE as a wrestler, or if the term diva was around then. How did this happen? How did you make your foray into WWE? Because growing up, you were a fan of the business, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like your biggest fan. I'm not, I'm just going to throw that out there. So I was a huge fan growing up, and when I got the phone call from Johnny Laurinaitis, I was doing the modeling thing, and my agent at the time that called me was like, hey, WWE is interested in you. Do you have any interest? I was like, oh my God, I used to love it when I was young. Yes. Like, yeah, I want to do it. What do I do? And he's like, well, you have to go to Atlanta, Georgia. And that was because that's where the training was at the time.
Right.
And you have to try out. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I told him you were a gymnast, so you have an athletic background and all this. So I was like, okay, cool. So I went up to Atlanta. I tried out for a week, and actually Bill DeMont was our trainer at the time, and he kicked my butt, like made me run the ropes like 1,000 times. I was like throwing up. I had to do all these back bumps. I was like, what am I doing? I'm like 19 years old. I'm like, what is this? But Bill's like, I'm gonna see if you have it. And so after that week, he was like, girl, you got it. Like, you got this, and I was hooked after that. And then I just kept calling Johnny. I was like, okay, where's my contract? Where's my contract? And they're like, okay, we're sending it. You're hired. So, it was probably 2 months after I tried out, I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, and started training.
Once you went to Louisville, Kentucky and hit the grind, how was that mentally? Because was it what you were expecting? Because on TV, It just looks cool because it's pro wrestling and it's all this action. But all of a sudden now you're in the trenches and you're learning it. Was it confusing for you? Were you a fast learner? Were you able to pick up things?
It was the hardest year of my life.
Right.
Like, I had never lived on my own. I had never washed my own clothes. I didn't know how to make dinner. I didn't know how to cook. And so I moved into this apartment, actually with Alicia Fox, because we both got signed at the same time because we're both from Jacksonville. So we lived together. We had no furniture. We had a bed. So I started, we were training every day. It was rough, and I was bathing in salt baths. I was like, what is going on? I would call my mom every night, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, and the guys were pretty rough because the guys had been there for a long time. The ones who, had growing up wanted to wrestle for WWE for, their whole lives, and they've been working their whole lives to be here. And they see me and Alicia Fox come in as these models. So we definitely got, not the best treatment from the guys.
Right.
They definitely gave us a hard time. So that was rough too. And then I was only there for 2 months, and I got a call from Paul Heyman, who was like, oh, we're starting up ECW again. We have this idea for you. We want you to have, we want you to be an exhibitionist and have, this dance segment. And I'm like, Paul, I don't have any rhythm. I was a gymnast. I'm the whitest white girl. And he's like, you'll be fine. And I was like, okay. So my first day there, I was in Vince's office, and he's like, okay, I have this whole idea. I have this whole plan for the dance I want you to do. So he showed me this whole dance. I was dying because I was like, I'm 19 years old. I've been watching this man and WWE for my whole life, and now you're showing me. I'm sitting here with Vince McMahon, and you're showing me how to do a dance. It was the funniest. I was like, okay. So I just remember going out that night and having to do this dance and performing it with a chair. And I remember going on, we're live. The chair that we had practiced on all day was not there, so I just had to wing it and just with this dance. And so I remember coming to the back and Vince being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, the chair wasn't there, but you were awesome. And so after that, it became a weekly thing. Kelly's expose, and one of the guys at the time, Mike Knox, who was my boyfriend on the show, would come out after I would get pretty close to naked. He would come out and throw a towel over me. So that's how I started. But I knew it was a way to get my foot in the door. So I was like, okay, I'll do whatever. Let's just do this. So
how nerve-wracking was that, going out there? And
it was.
Because I'm watching it right now. The one on the stage with the chair.
Oh God, please don't.
There's not a whole lot to the bottom part of the outfit.
No. And my poor grandmother, too. I told her
no.
to watch. Oh, my 85-year-old grandmother was watching.
Well, here's the thing.
Family.
When you say an 85-year-old grandmother, their version of professional wrestling is a little bit different than what I'm seeing right now on my computer screen. You know what I mean?
I know. And so after, I remember coming back and calling them, and they're like, why didn't you tell us that's what you were doing? And I was like, because I wanted you to watch.
but you know
oh
what?
God.
But you know, it was a foot in the door. You went down to Louisville. You paid your dues, and now you're getting your spot on the roster. Tell me about the name process, because you're Barbie Blank, and I always thought Kelly Kelly was such a cool name, and like I never thought it was a gimmick to me when I saw you, and it's like as we're talking now, we've really only talked a few times in person because I left the company, you came in 06, but we always clicked whenever we saw each other. But I always thought when Kelly Kelly came out, I just thought kind of like America's sweetheart, girl next door, you know, just real pretty girl. So how did the name Kelly Kelly come about, and who pitched you this, and your initial thoughts of it?
Well, so my first day, I remember walking in and then being like, okay, we need you. It gave me 20 lists of names. Okay, pick out a name. And I was like, I can't use Barbie. And they're like, no, it's trademark. You can use Barbie. Okay. So I remember seeing Kelly on there, and I was like, okay, I like this. So they were like, okay. And then right before I was supposed to go out, I guess I had a meeting, and Vince came up with Kelly Kelly, and he got it from, I guess there's a Cheers episode where one of the guys is like singing about the girl, and his song is like Kelly, 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 Kelly. So that's what I've always heard. That's where I heard Vince got it from, and that's where it came from.
Okay, I'm still watching. You just wrapped up your dance, and who's the guy that came in and put the towel around you?
His name was Mike Knox.
Okay, whatever happened to Mike Knox?
I mean, I know after ECW, I think he may have got released shortly after that. But I know he's out there, and he's still, you know, wrestling on the independent scene and stuff.
Hey, when you're at Ohio Valley Wrestling, who's basically working with you in the ring and teaching you the ropes, and as far as, you know, the chain wrestling and the stuff that you were doing?
Al Snow. He was great.
He was great.
Yes, he was amazing. Because he felt bad for us because me and Fox were learning it together, and we had no idea what we were doing. And he was such a great coach and such a great help. And Beth Phoenix was actually down there at the time too, and she was amazing. And so, yeah.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Hey, man, do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. So what was the schedule? You guys get up and go train for, what, a couple hours, take a break, go back?
Yeah.
Was it 2 days? What was the setup?
Well, so we would wake up in the morning. We would go have practice probably 3 or 4 hours. 2 out of the 5 days we would have promo days where we would have to come up with a promo and a character and then we would have house shows probably 4 nights out of the week. And they were always a drive, to these little towns in Kentucky or Ohio. So we would go to those, and we would have to set up the ring. We'd have to take the ring down, all that. We definitely paid our dues, for sure.
Did your gymnastics background help with your in-ring stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot. I knew when I started wrestling, they were like, okay, when they started letting me have matches and stuff, I wanted to incorporate a lot of my back flips and front flips and to moves and do stuff that, a lot of the other girls, you weren't seeing at the time. So I would watch, old matches of, Lita and Trish and just figure out how I can kind of take those moves and kind of make them my own and put a gymnastics kind of element to it. So I always had fun doing that. Okay,
and in mentioning Lita and Trish, I mean, were there anybody that you really looked up to, or as far as a style or body of work that you said, hey, I really like what this person is doing?
I always admired Lita and Trish for sure, but I felt like with Torrie, she kind of had the same thing like as me, like the girl next door, pretty blonde, so I kind of felt like I took from all three of their kind of and just made it my own, and I took a lot of things, like Torrie's style and her kind of, how she carried herself, and Lita's, and Trish's moves, and so, yeah, I definitely took it from those three.
What made you ultimately decide to, retire at such an early age? I mean, you had a 6-year run in WWE, and it was a good 6 years. And that being said, I mean, you could have probably lasted another 6. I mean, as young as you were when you got in, as young as you were when you got out. What was the neck bothering you that much? Was that the only factor for you deciding to ride off into the sunset?
I mean, that was definitely an issue. But I think I was just ready. I had gotten very serious with my fiance, and I had found the person who I wanted to spend my life with, and I knew that if I wanted to take things further, that I just I needed to figure out if wrestling was really what I wanted to do for another 10 years, or if I want to get married and have a family. And it was time, and the travel was really starting to get to me because I wanted to be at home a lot and just be, more of like a family and get to be with my family and just kind of catch up on the things that I missed out on over 6 years. And I know I probably could have stayed, but I'm just tired,
Now that you've been away from the business for quite some time, I'm not able to watch the show as much as I used to. The 3-hour format is a little too much for me. I prefer 2 hours, along with the fact that I'm pretty busy as well. So I DVR the show and I try to watch as much of it as I can when I can. Are you still a fan of the show? Are you able to keep up with it? I mean, obviously, like I said, Maurice, Miz, you have friends that are still in the business. Do you still watch the show?
Yeah, I mean, I try to catch up on it here and there and kind of see what's going on and who the new guys and girls are and what's going on storyline-wise, because I'm still a fan and I'll always be a fan, and I feel like if they ever were like, okay, Barbie, you have one more run in you, I may do that because I'm, like I said, I'll always be a fan, and I had the best 6 years of my life there, and I, grew up so fast and I learned so much, and it was a blessing for sure. So.
But it does, just like you said, growing up fast, because, I mean, when you leave home, you go to, Louisville, Florida, you're 19, and all of a sudden you've got to do everything on your own and be, self-sufficient and just independent, getting things done. I mean, yeah, you do miss out on a lot of other things in life. And I always say to people, once you get on the road, once you get in the grind, I mean, basically, from my standpoint, I always call it being like a zombie state. I mean, I was full function, everything, but I mean, I missed out on a lot of things because I was focused and, life was living on the road. It was what it was. And you just weather through things. But you do miss out on a lot of things.
Yeah. And then people really don't understand that because, we don't have an off season. We're year round. We're, almost 250 to 300 days a year. And we miss so much stuff. And it was a lot, the 6 years that I was there, my heart was in it every day. And I put 110% every time I went through that curtain. But, when I would come home and I would, be home for a day and a half, it just got to be where I was just like, okay, I just need to be home for a little bit, So.
Have you been able to catch any of the stuff from NXT? Because the women's movement, you had a very athletic style with a lot of movement in the ring. And it seems like the new generation has probably even taken it a little bit further. And same thing with respect to the guys. Some of the guys have done some stuff that's just phenomenal. Have you seen some of the women down there in NXT with like Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Bayley, and Jesus Christ, the girl from Ireland, I can't remember her name. But have you been able to see these young ladies come up? They're very athletic and incorporating a lot of wrestling. Have you been able to keep up with any of them?
I mean, I try to. I love seeing, those girls definitely come up to the main roster and kind of, give a fresh new look, and kind of liven up the Divas division a little bit. Because I feel like the last year kind of was a little stale with AJ leaving, and they were trying to kind of figure out what's next. And so I feel like with them bringing up these 4 girls, I think it's great. I think Charlotte's amazing, and she was a big gymnast, too, for a long time. So I love that she incorporates a lot of gymnastics into her moves, too.
Are you happy with everything you accomplished while you're in WWE? Were there some things that you still wanted to attain? You're a one-time WWE Divas champion. Was there something that you wanted to do that you didn't?
Well, that was another reason why I was happy with the way I went out, because I had done everything that I wanted to. I, main evented, but the women's match, I finally was able to, I had a tag match. It was me and Maria Menounos against Beth Phoenix and Eve. And so that was kind of like my big WrestleMania moment that I was able to have. I was, I had the Divas Championship, and I had been able to do so many great things. That's why when I left, I was like, I was so happy with my whole run there. I was true to myself. I had fun with it every time I went through the curtain, and I gave it my all. So I can't say that there was anything that I wish I would have done, or because like I said, I probably wouldn't have left until I got that Divas Championship. So I was happy I was able to have that and all that stuff.
Looking back, what would you say the best part of being in WWE was for you?
Probably just getting to perform for the fans and having so many loyal fans, and going out there every night and just having people chant my name and just having fun with it. And I mean, WWE is unlike any other job that anyone could have. It's so much fun, and you meet so many great people, and you go to so many great places. So there's so many things that I love doing, and I appreciated while I was there.
How intoxicating was that for you with respect to the adrenaline rush, going out there and getting the response and then going backstage? Because for me, I mean, that's the adrenaline rush. It's like, I'll always try to explain it to people, but you never can. And if you could put that in a bottle and sell it, you'd be a millionaire. So was it the same way for you?
Yes, it's the best feeling in the world. Like, to know that you have been able to just gain so many fans and being yourself and having fun and having people relate to you when you're telling a story. And that's what I love. I love going out there and being able to have the people feel sorry for me and feel bad. And, and that's what I love doing, was telling a story. And I felt like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I felt like I was able to make people see, like, I was really hurt, and it was, and I was able to be the underdog and, show people, she did it, and I came in the end, and I, won with a roll-up or something. Like I just love the storytelling aspect of it, and I just had so much fun with it every time.
On the flip side of that, what was the worst part of being in WWE? Because there's always got to be some pros, there's always got to be some cons. What was the worst part of WWE? Or maybe not. Yeah, I knew. Okay, sure. Travel. I didn't mean to cut you off. I would say the travel for sure.
Yeah.
At what point did you get a gut full of that? Because, I mean, like now, it's like when I was doing it, I mean, that's what I did, and that's what I was used to. But then when I retired, it took me a while to turn into a civilian, as I call myself now, and I kind of was jonesing for the road. But now, like when I have to go places, my wife, she wants to go to Hawaii all the time. She's been about 6 or 8 times. Out of all the places I've been, I've never been to Hawaii. So she's trying to get me to go over there. So, well,
we had shows over in Hawaii. You never.
I never worked those shows over there. So my point is, if I'm going to travel, I want to go down to my ranch in South Texas. So I've got that out of my system. So do you still enjoy traveling now, if it's just you doing your thing with the show with Wags or Sheldon? Yeah,
I mean, I love that part to where I'm not on the road for 2 weeks or 3 weeks straight. I can go for a few days, do my work and then come back home to Idaho, where it's peaceful and quiet and I don't have to do anything. I'm on my own schedule. I like that. But when I have to go for a long period of time somewhere, I dread it. You've got.
I imagine you probably did the same thing I did. I mean, you had many more, a much more extravagant and intricate wardrobe than I did. But basically, when you come off the road, I'm sure you did this. You put your suitcase by the washing machine, you wash all your dirty stuff, and you keep the clean stuff in there. Or maybe since you're a girl, you rotated it. But I was a guy and I didn't. I'd wash it and dry it, and basically just keep it all packed in there, because in 2 days you were going to leave again. So is that what you did as well?
Yeah, when I would come home, I would just leave my stuff. But for the women too, for me, I would be, okay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I would pick out all my outfits, because, you have to have a dress code and you have to look nice every time. At least they wanted the women to. They were like, okay, you guys have to, wear a dress or nice pants. And so I would plan my outfits out, and so that would take like a whole night, and I was only home for like a day. So I felt like I was definitely would put more effort into it than I wish I would have had more time for. But I would come home, I would lay on my couch, watch my shows, and pack, and then I'd be on the road again.
All right. Now that you've gone from WWE, is there anything else as far as life in WWE that you missed while you were there? I mean, we obviously know the Road was a bad guy, but is there anything you missed? Would you like to be on TV again in that squared circle?
I mean, I definitely miss performing, and I miss the wrestling part, and just everything that comes with walking through that curtain, and while you're out there and going back through it. So yeah, I would just say I miss all of that, and I would definitely come back for maybe one more run. You never know. Still young. My body's in okay, doing okay. So you never know.
How competitive is the women's locker room? Because everybody wants to be. I mean, most of the women are beautiful, and then you're working on your outfits and stuff like that. But how competitive was it back there? Because women, as you know, and because you're on WAGs, I mean, y'all can be pretty catty and highly competitive. Highly.
Yeah. And there's kind of a hierarchy in WWE. You know, the guys and girls that have been there for a while, the vets. When rookies come in, it's kind of like, all right, let's see what this girl's about. So I would definitely say I experienced that when I came in to WWE for sure. I was definitely the little young one on the totem pole, so yeah, I was competitive, and you have to respect, the girls who have been there for a while, and everyone's kind of competing for that one spot. And I knew my position when I came in. I knew I was low on the totem pole, and I was just going to respect all the women who had been there before me. And when they would start to leave, I would, rise on that totem pole, and I was just waiting for my opportunity.
Did you change when you started getting seniority status?
I just, I would make my presence known when I would walk into the locker room.
Oh, God.
I would take the prime spot.
You earned it.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly, I earned it.
A couple more questions. Favorite town to work in? Everybody has a favorite town, and everybody has a favorite building. Sometimes they're one and the same. My favorite building is Chicago Rosemont, and Chicago is one of my favorite towns as well. Yeah, because that building, that roof was kind of a wooden ceiling in it, and it just made the crowd so loud, and the Chicago fans were so crazy. So that was kind of a stronghold for me. So, what was
the worst place that you?
Oh man, just some dive, and some of those places State College was really hard to get to. Great town once you got to Penn State. It's a great town. I know I got a lot of fans there, but it was just hard to get to. So State College was always not on the favorites list. Scranton, some of those towns were a little bit hard to get to. But I'm talking about you. Favorite town to work in?
I know. Okay. I would have to say my hometown, Jacksonville. I mean, every time I would go there, I had the best reception. All my family and friends would come to the show. My mom and my grandma would be front row every time. So I just love performing in my hometown.
Okay, let me talk to you about it. And Jacksonville, if I remember correctly, that was a Coliseum, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to love the Jacksonville Coliseum too. Back in WCW, we'd go there, and the crowd was maybe a third full. The territory was really bad, and we had some just outlandish matches there. It was a lot of fun. So tell me, you're working in Jacksonville, you're at the Coliseum, your hometown, mom, grandma on the front row. How fun was that? Did you do the old deal like anytime we worked in New Hampshire, if I was working with Triple H, his mother and father and family would always be on the front row, and I was working heel. So inevitably, we'd work outside, and I'd talk a bunch of trash to his mother, and I'd drop him on the guardrail and beat him up. It was all part of the act, right? So were you ever able to incorporate your family, or what did you think as they were sitting there watching their little girl work in the ring?
Well, so as soon as I would come through the curtain, I would go to the ring. I would always make sure I would go and hug them. I would, hug and kiss them, go into the ring. And there was I think I had a match with Beth Phoenix, and I remember we were wrestling, and she would look over at my mom and grandma and my grandmother and say something like, "Oh, is this your baby girl now?" And she'd kick me or something, So it was great, so everyone knew too. Whenever we went to each other's hometown, we would always try to do stuff like that too.
Okay, and was that your favorite building to work in as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but talk to me about working in Madison Square Garden, because that's a special place, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely number 2 for sure.
The thing about the Garden is it's a tough town because it's been there for so long, and those people are just, they've seen it all.
They're hardcore.
If you can get over in front of a Garden crowd, and I guess the thing I liked so much about the Garden was just because it was a Garden, and everybody that had played there was, some of the best, with respect to all forms of entertainment, not just pro wrestling, but it was the backyard of the WWF. So I always enjoyed that one as well. So,
yeah, me too.
I want to ask you a question. You said you had a story about me meeting Sheldon, and like I was telling you before we started this conversation, I've been hitting the head with so many steel chairs, I've forgotten half the people I've met. Tell me this story before we end this illustrious podcast, and you can go back and get on your boat in Idaho on the lake.
Okay, so you guys had a show. Sheldon was playing for the New Jersey Devils at the time. It was like 1999. He was backstage. He was taking a bunch of pictures with the guys. He had another friend with him. And the photographer was like, hey, take a picture with Steve. And so they walk over, and the photographer is like, hey, Steve, do you want to, you have 2 beers in your pocket and you're drinking one. Like, do you mind giving them the 2 beers and you guys can, like, cheers and I can take a picture? And you go, I'm not giving them a beer. Oh, my God. So he's, like, dying. And now he's like, what did you do when he said that? He was like, I didn't know what to say. Like,
what a jerk. Golly. Tell him.
No, he was not. He was like, no, but he was like, when you talk to Steve, you have to tell him the story. Okay.
First of all, tell him I'm very sorry, but in 1999 and to this day, I'm very protective of my beer.
I can tell. Now we know. Now we know.
Okay, let's wrap this thing up. What's going to be the theme of the wedding in Cabo? And are you planning this? Are you good at planning stuff like this? Is this your bread and butter?
I'm not a good planner. I don't do good with a lot of stuff and details. So I hired like 2 wedding planners. They're doing basically everything. But I wanted to put my kind of theme into it. So I've given them, kind of inspiration boards and, giving them a feel of what I want. Because I want to get married on the beach. I'm building a platform so no one has to take off their shoes. I'm very, I know what I want.
Right.
So we're going to do that. And it's going to be kind of like a rustic-y theme. It's, I have probably about 120 people coming. So, it'll be a smaller, more intimate wedding. And so we're excited.
Got 120 people coming. That's a lot of people to go to Cabo.
Well, that's who we're inviting. They say that 30% don't come. So we're planning on like 90, 80, 90.
When I got married for my 4th and last time, my wife is really, really cool, and she's really low-key. And she's a former special education teacher, which bodes well because I think that's why we get along so well together. She's able to deal with my mentality. Yes. So anyway,
very patient.
And I never really wanted to get married again. But anyway, this was, my soulmate and the woman I should have found way back in the day. But anyway, it took me long enough to find her. So she was so cool. What we did, we called, I don't know, it was like wedding.com or whatever it was. But the lady who did the service, or ordained minister, whatever you call them, came to the house. I had just finished filming a low-budget movie in Vancouver, been drinking on the airplane, came home, put on a nice shirt. The lady shows up at the door, and we get married right in front of our fireplace. And I'm telling you, there was just 3 of us there. And then we had 2 dogs. We had 3, but Hershey, my chocolate lab, she's like a pro wrestler. She's always pulling ribs. So this lady had this bell that she rang twice. It had like a wooden handle on it. So Hershey, the wonder dog, does a drive-by, picks up the bell, and starts walking away. So I gotta start chasing it. Hershey, come here, Hershey. So then we had to start the wedding all over. But anyway, that's how it happened for me.
Love that.
I'm
so perfect.
I wish you and Sheldon all the best on this illustrious day in January. Good luck with the show. It's WAGS. Tell everybody where and how and when they can see this show.
Okay. You can catch WAGS every Tuesday night on E at 10 p.m.
It's only at 10 p.m. And does that follow WWE
it's right
Divas?
after Total Divas.
Total Divas, yes. And okay, your website is BarbieBlank.com. Your Twitter account, which you have over 1 million followers, people still know who you are. The Barbie Blank on Twitter. That's where you can follow her. She's also known as Kelly Kelly, former one-time WWE Diva champion, my favorite diva of all time. Barbie, it was great talking to you. So tell me, just what are you going to do the rest of the day? You said y'all got a boat. You going to hit the lake?
Yeah, we're just going to go on the boat, cruise the lake, maybe have some beers.
Now, how many beers can a girl like you drink and maintain your figure?
You know, I have to drink the light ones.
Yep.
But I can drink, probably 4 or 5.
All right. You be careful out there on the lake, young lady. Tell Sheldon I said hello and tell him I apologize for being such that illustrious day in 99.
I will.
Well, all right, Kelly, it was good talking to you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off into the sunset. I want to thank my guest today, Barbie Blank, a.k.a. Kelly Kelly, former one-time WWE Divas champion, 6-year career over in the WWE, and then took her ball and rode off into the sunset and pursuing other things. Good luck to her and her show, Wags. You can catch that on E. It's right after Total Divas, so it's a pretty good 1-2 combination, and she's doing great, and I'm very proud of her, and she's always been an absolute sweetheart to me. So good luck, Barbie, with everything you do, and thanks for coming on the show. It was fun talking to you. Don't forget to rate and review the Steve Austin Show on Apple Podcasts, and tell your friends to check us out. If you want to reach me here on the podcast, send an email to questions@steveaustinshow.com, and that's the bottom line. Hey, man, I want to thank everybody for all the support of Broken Skull IPA, my beer that I brewed with El Segundo Brewing Company. We are in 17 states here in the United States of America right now. And if you go to my Instagram account, you can find out where all of these locations are. Better yet, go to the elsegundobrewingcompany.com website and click on the interactive map where it says Broken Skull IPA, and you can find out the location nearest you that you can buy the best IPA in America. We're all over Cali. We're in Whole Foods and Total Wines, but thank you for the support of this badass IPA. It's a beer that I am extremely proud of, and it's a beer that I drink exclusively because it is that damn good. Hey, don't forget, King of Attitude and Broken Skull Ranch T-shirts are available at ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. And I think every person should have a pocket knife just for opening envelopes, cutting a piece of rope, whatever you need it for. Maybe it's protection. Cold steel Broken Skull knife, cold steel working man's knife. Get them at my Amazon store. Amazon has the best price on both knives. Just go to Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin, or go to the Cold Steel Knives website and check out all of their badass knives. I want to say thank you one more time to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially Geico, ZipRecruiter, Raycon, Zorro, Health IQ, and BetOnline. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. If you need more info, check out the show description to this episode for details. Folks, if you see me riding in the woods, you will see me riding a badass Kawasaki, and that's the bottom line. Until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.